So Ely came with an hypothesis or an understanding that well over 200 years was missing from our calendar. And they started calling him a conspiracy theorist. Check out what he said. Let's start with the first bullet point. Elder Gabar. You got it? Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2. I can't see here.
Okay, don't worry about it. We can fix that.
Security, archaeology.
You got it? The scarcity of archaeological evidence. You got it?
Yeah, the scarcity of archaeological evidence that can be I can't make
reliably dated. Come on now.
My eyes is not good. I will stop.
Yes?
Yeah. These computers are done
That's
with.
fine. Okay, well, thank you. Don't worry about it. So give me a second. We're with you. Come on, brother.
They're shocked.
All right, it's okay. I understand. These computers are killing everyone's eyes. We don't read books no more. And you notice when we go back to books, it gets even worse after these computers. Ready? Let's go.
All right, this is the basis of Illig's hypothesis. The scarcity of archaeological evidence that can be reliably dated to the period AD 614 to 911.
Hold up. 614 to what?
To 911.
Another esoteric number they use. Why? Because they have discovered and understand and have proof outside of the information they're giving you that Christ was born on what they would call 9/11. So that's an esoteric number for them. They use it for disasters because they understand that Christ is coming is their disaster. Right? Go on.
The perceived inadequacies of radiometric and dendrochronological methods of dating this period and the over-reliance of medieval historians on written sources.
Come on. The presence. Come on.
The presence of Romanesque architecture.
The presence of Roman architecture. Read. Rome have their hand in this. Read.
In 10th century Western Europe, suggesting the Roman era was not as long as conventionally thought.
The Roman era was not as long as conventionally thought. Right? They shall think to change times and laws. Who the fourth beast? Who's the fourth beast?
Rome.
Thank you. Read.
Bullet 3. The relation between the Julian calendar.
The relation between the Julian calendar during the time of Julius Caesar. Remember when he decided let's fill some of these discrepancies and add 10 days, right? Remember we went over that last night? Go on.
Gregorian calendar.
The Gregorian calendar.
And the underlying astronomical solar or tropical year.
So Illig just started studying just all the calendars from the time the Romans started messing with stuff. See? Read.
The Julian calendar, introduced by Julius Caesar, was long known to introduce a discrepancy from the tropical year of around 1 day for each century that the calendar was in use.
Read.
By the time the Gregorian calendar was introduced in AD 1582.
By the time 1582, read.
Illig alleges that the old Julian calendar should have produced a discrepancy of 13 days between it and the real or tropical calendar.
So he resolved it by adding 10 days when he should have added 13. You see how it's incremental from back then? Because if you just forget 3 days for 1,000 years, how much is missing? 300 years or near 300 years. So they did it by just saying, we're just going to add 10 days to resolve things. So who would miss 3 days here for 1,000 years? But if you go year by year, usually you're not missing anything. But if you do this for a long period of time, you're going to believe time, what? Is more. See that? Are you following that? Okay, read.
Instead, the astronomers and mathematicians working for Pope Gregory have found that the civil calendar needed to be adjusted by only 10 days.
He thought it needed to be adjusted by only 10 days. Read.
The Julian calendar day, Thursday, 4th of October, 1582, was followed by the first day of the Gregorian calendar, Friday, October 15th, 1582.
Read.
From this, Ely concludes that
Ely concludes what?
Ely concludes that the AD era had counted roughly 3 centuries which never existed.
They counted 3 centuries which never existed. They added almost 300 years right under our noses. Hold up now. Look at this. It's minus 265. What'd you say? He was a historian who was qualified to correct these errors. And he was an acclaimed historian. They were afraid of him because he was about to blow the cover off of what they were trying to do. Right? So we woke up in a time they created for us. Right? Just think about it. We've been going to Hosea 6 over and over. In 2 days, he will revive us. And in the third day, we'll live in his sight. Well, after 2 days are done, which is the 2,000 year, right? Even based on what we were teaching. If you're in the third day, 1 day, 1 second after the millennium, you're in the third day. So here it is. We're 15 years in the third day. Therefore, based on their calculation, they'll have us believe that the prophecies of Christ coming is incorrect. Because we're past the millennium. We passed the time that they had to rule according to every scripture you can read. They're past the time stamp that said Christ would come. So therefore, there is no Christ. Are y'all seeing that?